YouTube censors your humble host. Maxine Waters encourages riots. And BL's only M when it's convenient. This is the new Cancel This show. Welcome to Cancel This, the show that fights back against cancel culture and annoys the woke folk and apparently big tech. I'm your host, Yo Grabba Gabba. This is episode number 11 of Cancel This. Episode 10, for those of you who got to hear it, I hope you enjoyed it. And I hope you weren't too offended by the content. Apparently some people were, because YouTube pulled it down. Only a few hours after it was posted, YouTube removed it and sent me an email. It says that the video, or the audio in this case, a podcast, was removed due to violation of terms of use. Violation of terms of use, basically. Pulled down the audio, and it said, because I violated community guidelines for medical misinformation. It says YouTube doesn't allow claims about COVID-19 vaccinations that contradict expert consensus from local health authorities or the World Health Organization. So, what did I say that contradicted the World Health Organization? First of all, isn't it freedom of speech? I know YouTube can do what they want, but YouTube should also lose their congressional carve-out against lawsuits. If they're going to be a publisher and censor what people say, they should be held accountable. You can really ruin somebody's reputation or life by editing or censoring what they say. So there should be protections for the consumer, like there is in other businesses. But what did I say that was so offensive? I asked questions. I asked questions about the COVID vaccine. That's all it was. I asked questions. I didn't just say, yes sir, yes ma'am, please inject me. Also, I didn't think there was such thing as a medical consensus. I didn't think there was a consensus. I've seen lots of people who contradict that. Lots of medical experts who contradict. So it can't be a medical consensus, a scientific consensus, if people are going against it. Of course, they're trying to suppress that, and they want people to say those things or hear those things. But they are out there. You can find them, just not on YouTube or Google. So I was censored this week by these big tech idiots. I also hear President Trump is coming out with his own social media network. Censorship is terrible. And it shouldn't be stood for. This is Cancel This. And they're trying to. But I'm not the only one. I feel very special. I feel very lucky. Only the best get censored. Donald Trump got censored for telling people to peacefully protest. They permanently banned him from Twitter for telling people to peacefully protest. Maxine Waters didn't help people peacefully protest. She told people to riot. More on that soon. The mullahs in Iran who constantly talk about death to Israel get to keep their accounts. But they're not talking about COVID-19. As long as you don't spread misinformation or your opinion or a disagreement about COVID-19, you can say death to the Jews all you want. That's fine. As long as you're not saying death to the Jews through COVID, obviously. Idiots. You can find... I watched a video from the Gutfeld show, and it had a censorship warning on it, and then it said on top of the censorship warning, after you said, I'm fine to watch this, it said, are you sure you're fine to watch this? You can find the easier videos of people being beheaded online than videos that disagree. Videos that disagree with the narratives. Joy Reid from MSNBC or CNN, whatever show she's on, or whatever. How come, by the way, how come all these people have these names like Joy? They're so miserable. You're a miserable person. Your name is Joy. Try Joy once in a while. Anyways, she said she went running outside at a park, which I don't believe she runs. I think that's the first lie. But she said she went for a run outside at the park and was wearing 2 masks, and she's been fully vaccinated. That's what she said. Again, not my words, her words. If that sounds like that makes sense to you, alright. Does make sense to me, but again, I can't say anything because big YouTube censorship's coming after me. But she can go ahead and say those things. You can go say, yes, go get vaccinated and wear 2 masks. That's fine. Be precautious. But if you're on the side of freedom, you get censored. One of the great ironies of the modern world. So, who else gets censored? Well, James O'Keefe got censored. He got kicked off Twitter. Who's James O'Keefe? He's the creator of Project Veritas. Project Veritas is a right-leaning organization that does what journalists used to do. Exposés. He got kicked off Twitter because one of his videos, I mean, a lot of his videos have been censored or they've gone viral. But he got kicked off Twitter because one of his people was posing as somebody for CNN, and they asked the producer at CNN a question and kind of, a couple follow-up questions, and eventually information came out that the producer of CNN was proud of their work because they did what they set out to do, which was to destroy Trump. Now, this isn't a shock to anybody who's been paying attention that that's what they were intending to do. I mean, just watch news stories, right? I mean, if you watched Obama, it was the greatest thing ever when he got a dog. It was like he got a dog at the White House. It's amazing. It's great. It's fantastic. He's the greatest thing since sliced bread because he got a dog. Meanwhile, there was never a fluff piece about Trump. There was never, how is the first family spending Christmas? Or, what do they do after a long day at the White House? After working for 20 hours for the American people, what do they do? No, but Joe Biden throws a log on the fire, and it's front page news. I mean, I guess it is. He's too old to pick up a log and throw it on a fire. So I guess that is big news because he's too archaic to even do that. I think it's big news when Joe Biden breathes on his own, honestly. But that's neither here nor there. But you never saw a fluff piece about Trump. How come? Well, because if you want to paint somebody as the devil, you can't give them human characteristics. You can't have a human interest story about the devil. So James O'Keefe had one of his people go out and they asked him about producer from CNN. And he said, well, yeah, of course, the idea was to get Trump and get him out of office. And we did that. We succeeded. That was our plan, and we succeeded. They asked him then, what's the next plan? What are you going to do next? They said, well, we're going to get people online about climate change so we can, get them to be worried about that. We want people to be scared of climate change. But that's good. They're not journalists. They're not the trusted name in news. If you trust them, you're an idiot. So the person who posts the first-hand information, and yes, he didn't know who was being recorded. Okay, fine. Didn't give consent to be recorded. Okay, fine. But the person who posts the video gets censored from Twitter. You can't post that video. You can't ask the question. Asking questions is bad. A full agreement, full compliance is the only way to go. Cancel This is a show that fights back against that. We're not going to be censored. We're not going to be silenced. But that was pulled off Twitter because it was inconvenient for CNN. The narrative is that you can trust the news, you just can't trust Fox News. Oh, really? Because when the CNN people are saying they make up stories, then they lie. They fabricate stuff. They pull it out of thin air. There was a story recently. It was used in the debates. It was used in the debates that the Russians were putting out a bounty on the heads of soldiers, and the Biden campaign was able to use that to get soldiers' families to vote for Biden because Trump's not doing anything about it. He's letting his friend Putin, the guy who's running him, the Putin is putting a bounty on heads of American soldiers, and Trump's not doing anything about it. He was being informed about it, and he didn't do anything about it. And I think the Washington Post, ran the story. The Washington Flaming Piled Compost ran the story. And, of course, it wasn't true. And when Trump was briefed on this, he was told he has not very credible intel. It's something that we've heard, but it's not, we can't verify with any intel. So when Trump didn't react because it wasn't true, the Washington Post then used that and say, see, he doesn't even care. He can't confront Putin because Putin owns him. So the story wasn't true, and they ran with it anyways, knowing it wasn't true. And it came out that it wasn't true, and they didn't retract it. They just make it up as they go. Whatever that fits the narrative. And, again, if it's something that, I hate Trump, so I'm going to find a story on him that says that he's a bad guy, because I believe he's a bad guy, so I'm going to find something that proves he's a bad guy. Okay. So they have a anonymous source come up with some information they just pulled out of nowhere, and then that anonymous source goes from the Washington Post to NPR, who we're paying for, by the way, which you shouldn't be paying for. We're paying for NPR. They're as biased as they come. They're state-run media. They're literally state-run media that we're paying for. We're paying for propaganda to be used against us. Propaganda used by other countries against us. We're paying for it. But that same person goes from Washington Post and NPR, then to CNN, and they confirm the story in all three places. So now there's multiple reports that are all confirmed by the same anonymous source with no actual first-hand information. And they run with that story. Because they want it to be true, and they believe it to be true. They can't prove it. There's no information that says it's true, but they don't like the orange man, so they're running with it. Meanwhile, credible information about Biden and his family come out. Oh, no. That's Russian disinformation. So, believe what we tell you to believe, or else we'll censor you. You know what happens when you censor somebody? It makes them more believable. Because you don't usually censor things that aren't true. If it's not true, you just stack up facts against it. It's really, really easy. You just pull the facts out and say, here's the facts. This is why it's not true. But censoring that and not letting the person speak gives them more credence. Even if it's wrong. even if their information is bad, censoring them gives them more credibility because somebody doesn't want you to know. You want to argue, you want to fight them? Fight them with facts, not censorship. Screw you, big tech. For real. What gives you that? What gives you the right to do that? Censor people, tell them what they can and can't think. Somewhat switching gears, still talking about censorship. Do you know who also has a Twitter account still? Do you know who else has a YouTube account? Do you know who else has a Facebook account? Has been censored? Maxine Waters. Maxine Waters says there should be more violence in the streets. Yeah? $2 billion worth of damage is not enough. We have to keep the race war going. We have to get people to hate each other more. Maxine Waters says if they didn't get the verdict in the Chauvin case, which they did, if they didn't get the verdict in the Chauvin case that they wanted, they're going to have to burn more stuff down. So if I'm a jury member on that case, on that trial, I don't want my city burning down. I don't want my family being threatened. I better give the mob what they want. People are saying, oh, they got the verdict, they got the bad guy, blah, blah, blah. Okay, first of all, second-degree murder is committing a crime that... So second-degree murder and third-degree murder together. One is that you're committing a crime, you're committing a felony. It's felony murder, right? Basically, you're committing a crime, you're assaulting somebody, and they happen to die from that assault. You didn't intend to kill them, you intended to hurt them, or you intended to commit a felony, and somebody got killed in the process. That's felony murder. So, to prove that, you have to prove the felony. You have to prove that, let's say, you shot off a gun in the air, or you were driving drunk and somebody got killed, or you were beating somebody up and they got killed in the process. That's felony murder. Committing a felony and somebody died in the process. Even if it wasn't intended to kill that person, you were intended to cause harm or commit a felony, and the person died. Chauvin wasn't charged with assault, so it couldn't be felony murder because he wasn't charged with a felony. He was charged with murder. So you have to prove that he intended to injure somebody. There's no way you can prove that he intended to injure anybody. Then you also have the depraved heart murder, or the callous, not caring about another person living or dying. You did what you want to do and you didn't care if they lived or died. Again, tough to prove, but maybe. Certainly not second degree. Third degree, maybe. But again, you have to prove that the officer didn't care that the person died, or was going to die. They just did what they didn't want to do, didn't care. Manslaughter, maybe. But again, when you have a congressperson coming out and saying, if we don't get what we want, we need to burn it down. We need to get more hostile. And you know what's funny? Who could have saw this coming? They got what they wanted and it's still not enough. Oh, are you shocked? They got what they wanted and they still want to burn stuff down. They still want more. They still rioted even if they got the verdict they wanted, because this is just a starting point. A starting point for what? The racist cop killed a black man, of course. Oh, really? Because there was no racism intended and there was no racism accused. Racism wasn't even brought up in the case. Wasn't even alleged. But the system's racist. Because black men get killed by cops, yeah. You know what percentage of black men get killed by cops? Less than 1/10 of 1%. But, whatever fits your narrative. And censor anything that you disagree with. Because if I don't agree with it, you can't say it because you're causing harm to my pitiful little ears. Bunch of wuss bags. Grow the hell up. censorship. Don't let anybody say that we disagree with. But Maxine Waters is okay. You know, we're going to impeach Trump twice for saying go peacefully protest, and then when they protest and they storm this, the Capitol gets stormed by whoever did it. He says, do not disrespect the police, do not be violent. You can peacefully protest, and that's it. He gets kicked off Twitter. Done. No more Twitter ever. Meanwhile, Maxine Waters says, go burn stuff down, go attack people, go injure people, and that's okay. Because she's on the right side. She thinks the way that Twitter thinks. So that's okay. Who else didn't get banned from Twitter? LeBron James tweeting a threat to a cop. And Hourglass says, you're next, to a cop. For the shooting of Ma'Khia Bryant. He said, the cop who shot her, you're next. Accountability. That can be taken a lot of different ways. And if something happened to that cop, I would say LeBron should be charged for encouraging it. Of course he won't be. Of course he won't be banned from Twitter. Won't get a fine from the NBA. I heard somebody at Fox said it. I think Kilmeade said it at Fox. LeBron James is the NBA. LeBron James is the commissioner, in essence. Anything that happens, they go through him. If they want to protest, they want to do something, they go through him. This poor, oppressed man who never went to college, but is a multi-millionaire, a business person, one of the richest people on earth. And it's funny, too, because they're talking about equity and you know, Megan Rapinoe talking about how of course Joe Biden talks about how equity and how women should be paid the same as men for everything they do, like soccer players. Yeah, how about the NBA? How about you take LeBron's money, which he cast aside the U.S. and said don't criticize China because we want to make money in China. We want to make money in China. We don't care that they're killing people and there's a literal genocide going on right now in China. We don't care about that because we want to make money there. So why don't you take some of that money he cares about so much and redistribute it to all the WNBA players? How about you take LeBron's salary, cut it in half, and give half to the WNBA players so they can be equal? Because equal pay for equal results, right? Why did Joe Biden say that? Equal pay, right? Oh, it's only equal pay when it's convenient. You don't want to hurt your friends. You don't want to, LeBron's a supporter. You don't want to take his money. No. Equity. Maxine Waters, yes. Protest. If we don't get what we want, burn things down. And then you get what they want, you still burn things down. Because it's not about getting what you want. You give a mouse a cookie. I've said it before. You give a mouse a cookie, they're going to want a glass of milk. You give them a glass of milk, they're going to want you to read them a bedtime story. You read a bedtime story, they're going to want a blanket. You give them a blanket, they're going to want another pillow. When you give them another pillow, they're going to want another cookie. And the cycle continues. You don't give in to the mob. You shut that shit down. You can't let them dictate to you because guess what? They're never going to be satisfied. Do you think Black Lives Matter is just going to say, oh, you know what? We got what we wanted. Let's reunite now. No, they wanted to burn the country down from the beginning. They were hoping Chauvin would be acquitted so they could have the reason to burn stuff down. Because they want to do it. They just need a reason. Al Sharpton comes out. The biggest race baiter of them all. The Reverend. He probably couldn't even tell you one word in the Bible. Reverend, please. Reverend hate monger. If you care about the black community, why does he give away some of his millions? But Maxine Waters can still have her Twitter account. She can still say whatever she wants. She can still encourage violence. encourage burning and looting. She said they need to get more violent. They need to get more, violent wasn't the word she used, but she said they need to get more confrontational. That's what it was, more confrontational. You want people to get killed by the cops? Get confrontational. Of course, that's what they want. They want the narrative. They don't care how many people get killed, as long as they can use that for political gain. AOC, one of the smartest people on earth, said about the rioters, or about the border crisis. Because she said it was using the word surge means like an insurrection or insurgency, which is a military term to try to get you scared of these children. These children that are coming over. I don't think she's ever seen a dictionary. I don't think she even could read the word dictionary. Because that's not what surge means. Of course, they say that, oh, it's not her, it's okay, it's not her native language because she's Hispanic and you're racist for saying that because everything, okay. Tim Scott is a really well-spoken black man. But he gets called all these names by white liberals. Because how dare he think for himself? You must think like everybody else. Joe Biden's unity. There it is. Full display. Think like we do or else. Unity, baby. Unity. So Black Lives Matter. The BL's only M when it's convenient. A 7-year-old was shot to death in a McDonald's drive-thru by a gangbanger. 7-year-old young black girl shot to death. Did her life matter? How about Ma'Khia Bryant? People are talking about, she was killed by a police officer. A white police officer shot her and killed her. Yes, it's sad. It's tragic. What about the life of the girl she was going to kill with a knife? Did her life matter? How about the people who are killed? Hundreds are killed every week, every month in Chicago. I know military people say they would rather go to Afghanistan than go to Chicago. They'd rather go to Iraq than go to Chicago. Because it's so dangerous. New York City. If you're an Asian in New York City, you're going to get beaten up probably. They're getting attacked left and right. I heard a story about a Hispanic man who beat up an Asian person. And they asked him why he did. He says because he thought they were Chinese and they came from China to spread the virus. And then they said that it was Trump's fault that he beat up those people, of course. Because if you call a virus that originated in China a virus from China, then you're encouraging people from China to be beaten up. Meanwhile, the Democrats who locked up Japanese people in internment camps in the 40s, that's fine. Don't shut up. No, that's fine. That was fine. Don't think about that. That was not Democrats. Shut up. With a super majority, like a 200-person majority in the House. Can't blame that one on the Republicans, can you? Joe Biden, who eulogized a Klans member, who said, quote, his words, he didn't want his kids to grow up in a racial jungle, so you can't integrate schools. That's what he said. But that's okay, because he's woke now, so it's okay. So do BLs really M? I'm just asking. I mean, I think they do. I think we should stop all the violence. But where are the people protesting in the streets about black on black crime? It only matters when it's convenient and when it fits a narrative. They say, I heard Harold Ford, he's a liberal, but he's not like, I think he's one of those liberals who, you can kind of have a conversation with and it'll be okay. Like, you can have a conversation with them and they're not going to be like calling you names. They'll hear your side, they'll disagree with you, and then you can argue, and then at the end of the day you can shake hands and it'll be okay. I kind of feel like that's how Harold Ford is. I agree with some of the things he says. I disagree with, probably more than half the things he says, but he said, you'd have to have as a white person, you have to have a conversation with kids about how to avoid being killed by the police when you're pulled over by the police. I don't think that's true. I really don't. I mean, I think if you teach people to respect each other, respect authority, and respect police, and respect their teachers, I think the problems kind of solve themselves. But when you're Maxine Waters, you're telling people get into fights with the police, get confrontational. You're gonna get people killed. How about just respecting each other? How about agree to disagree? How about if you don't get your way, oh well, go to work the next day. Guess what? When Donald Trump didn't get reelected, guess what I did? I went to work the next day. I was tired because I stayed up late to watch, but I went to work the next day, and guess what? I did my job and went home and went on with my life. That's what happens when you don't get your way. You work harder the next time. But no, that's not how it works. How many times, and I remember, relatives getting in trouble at school, and their parents go down to the school and cause a fight, cause a commotion, because my kid is not allowed to get in trouble. Your kid's also a punk and an idiot. And they're not learning respect. They think the world revolves around them. They're very arrogant. Why do you think? Even if you disagree, it's like parents who argue with each other in front of the kids. Even if you disagree with what the other one's saying, have that respect. Listen to each other. That's how you get things done. But Black Lives Matter. Who doesn't agree with that? That Black Lives Matter. But unless you believe in the Marxist teachings and that they want and burning everything down, they showed who they are. They got what they wanted, and it still wasn't enough. They're still rioting. They're still looting. They're still killing. $2 billion in damage and counting. But that's okay. You have to agree with everything they say, or else. BLM, Black Lives Matter. They're trying to say Black Lives Matter more. And you know what? Everybody matters. But you give the organization what they want. One of the founders has a multi-million-dollar mansion in a very white neighborhood. But yeah, it's okay. Because Black Lives Matter. Again, if you think Black Lives Matter, like I do, you're pissed off about the shootings that happen in these major cities every single day. That crime is up 130% in New York City. And nobody's living there. Like, the population, they're losing a Senate seat. Or a House seat. Because the population's so low. And of course, they're going to gerrymander that and take it from the only Republican part of the state. One of the only most states actually Republican, just the big cities aren't. But they're not going to take it from the cities. They're not going to take the population from places that are Democrat. They're going to gerrymander that and make it Republican. I heard that I think Joy Behar said on the View a few years ago that the Senate is so gerrymandered that Republicans are always in control, and they don't care about the people's votes, the people in the cities. Well, the Senate actually isn't gerrymandered because they both get 2 Senate seats. So every state gets 2 Senate seats, no matter what size. So the Senate isn't gerrymandered. You're talking about the House, and everybody does that. Both sides do that. When they get control, they gerrymander so they keep control. That's how it works. But it's only bad when you don't like it. Like the filibuster that they used against Tim Scott's police reform law. police reform bill. That was horrible. That was the worst thing ever. They gerrymandered. They filibustered it because they didn't want to actually have to give Trump a win or give the Republicans a win. So they filibustered it. It's like the bill couldn't go through. But now that the Republicans want to filibuster things that the Democrats want to do, now it's racist. Now it's a racist thing. It's funny because, Joe Biden says all these things are Jim Crow, Jim Crow. Well, Joe Biden would know because his party was the party of Jim Crow. His party was the party of the racist South. Segregation. Slavery. That was his party. So he would know. He was probably around back then too, like the 1800s. A lot of his voters were, at least. I'm kidding, okay? God, can't have a sense of humor, can't make jokes. Everybody's so damn serious, can't make jokes. I'm gonna have to fact check that. Joe Biden spews lies every 10 seconds, but we're gonna shut down our fact checking organization because we don't want to fact check him. Because we like him. But if you tell a joke, we're gonna fact check you and shut you down. By the way, you notice how nothing's funny anymore? There are no such thing as jokes anymore. Because everything's offensive. The only people you can make fun of are straight white men. Straight white Republicans are the only people who you can make fun of. Well, there's so much material there, and there's a decent amount, but you're going to run out eventually, and now you're not going to be funny anymore. Late night talk show. Want to hear something funny? Don't listen to late night talk show. Because, Colbert's show, it was just a Trump bashing hour. And jokes are supposed to be funny, but when you mean them sincerely, they're not jokes anymore. They're hate. But none of them are censored. It's funny. It's funny. None of them are censored. Who is censored? No, none of them. It's funny. They always try to reduce people to the lowest common denominator. Trump was a reality star. Yeah, he's also one of the richest people in the world and worked really, really hard to get there. But we don't care about that. We want to take his lowest accomplishment he's ever done and make that what we label him as. Okay. It's funny, who are heroes and who are villains. You want to raise somebody up. Want to raise up a hero? Find yourself a hero. Raise them up. How about Sergeant William Harvey? William Harvey Carney. He was shot in the face, the shoulders, the arms, and the legs in the Civil War. He was the first African American to receive the Medal of Honor in the Civil War. He was shot in the face, the shoulders, the arms, and the legs, but he refused, despite all that, to let the flag hit the ground. The flag he was fighting for. He refused to let it hit the ground. Now they want to burn them. Now they want to tear down statues. Tear down statues of George Washington. Tear down statues of Abraham Lincoln. He freed the slaves. Tear down a statue. Deface the statue. MLK will be next. But let's put up a statue of George Floyd in George Floyd Square on Black Lives Matter Boulevard. George Floyd, a career criminal, in and out of jail 9 times. Threatened pregnant women. Threatened a pregnant woman's life so his friends could rob her. But he's a hero. Why? Pathetic. So you want to really help black lives? You want to really improve black lives? You don't have to tear things down. You have to lift up. You don't tear down and start over. Do you think it's really going to help? Get rid of trauma by creating more trauma? Cut off your nose to spite your face? No. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss any updates. A lot more to come. We're going to keep this going as long as we can until YouTube finally has enough of us and shuts us down, and then we'll find another way. You can like our page, facebook.com/ParamountProductions. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, share the post. If you didn't get a chance to hear last week's video or last week's podcast, email the show or comment on the post, and I'll get it to you. I have it saved on my computer. I can send it to you whenever you want it. Just because it's something that YouTube doesn't like, doesn't mean they can censor it. And we'll find a way. The information will get out there somehow, and they can't stop us. Like I said, be sure to subscribe. Get all the updates. Email showpaymentproductions@gmail.com. Like our Facebook page, facebook.com/paymentproductions. I'm not on Twitter anymore because Jack Dorsey's a turd. They can censor whoever they want for no reason. They have no standards. They have standards that they can follow when they want to. Same with YouTube, same with Facebook, same with Google, all of them. Can you imagine if the roles were reversed and they were censoring prominent black people? Or prominent Democrats? Speak out and get your tongue cut off. That's America. So be sure to subscribe, like our Facebook page, subscribe to our YouTube channel, email the show. We'll try to get back again as soon as we can. This obviously was week delayed because I got banned from YouTube for a week. I got put in YouTube jail for a week for asking questions about the COVID vaccine. I didn't even say I wasn't going to take it. I didn't say you shouldn't take it. I had questions and I posed them. And for posing questions, I got banned for a week from YouTube. And I shouldn't even got banned for a week because I got 2 strikes because I posted the video and I didn't see that it was taken down, so I tried posting it again, thought maybe there was an error, and then they took it down and sent me a thing that we took down your video twice now, so here's where we're banning you for a week. Didn't know you took it down. I didn't get the email the first time. I got 2 emails after the second video. But we have to fight back. We have to have a voice. We have to share our voice. We have to speak louder. We can't just sit back anymore. It's not okay to just sit back anymore. You don't have to be a liberal idiot and be in everybody's face and be offended by everything and cry. But be proud of who you are and stand up. Because guess what? A lot more people feel the way you do. They're just afraid to speak out. I'll try to get out a video next week unless YouTube bans me again or whatever. Either way, stay in touch. Thanks for listening. I'll talk to you soon. Until next time, bye then.